Communication is very, very important. I mean, number one thing, guys, mean what you say and say what you mean. Like that is a huge thing. If you don't mean it, hold yourself back. Don't say it. And hey, we all have times when we do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, that's where you have to address it, and that's where you can't ignore it.
And I think that's the separates everybody from the great communicators and non-great communicators, because it's not just about the communicator; it's about the how we could both value and get value from this interaction.
For anybody that wants to learn how to communicate better, even doing a stint of drama or improv is freaking amazing for
Huge,
you.
man. And a part of it is confidence. I think the biggest part of, especially in drama class, it breaks you out of that shell.
It's confidence.
And it's like owning your. Our entire lives, we've been conditioned to play small and to apologize and
Quiet,
to
please.
shave.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
No,
Yeah.
speak when you're only spoken
Yeah.
to. Have you lost a relationship in the past before because you both didn't say the things that you actually wanted to say, that it went off the rails and it went really south, but you could have done something about it?
Have you taken a conversation into and then taken it into an argument, into a fight, and then it could blow up from there? Because if this has happened to you, like most people, you might want to listen to this today. Today, we're going to be speaking about the art of communication.
A lot of these issues stem from the fact that A, you don't communicate well, or B, you don't actually communicate the things you wanted to in the proper manner, which happens a lot, especially in relationship business, in all aspects of life. And we weren't actually taught specifically how to get to somebody in the specific situations.
We wanted to cover this today because this is an integral part of development as a person, is improving your communication. There's a lot of people that just go around through life and act like, how they communicate is okay. They never assess themselves. They never get better. They don't even work at it. And communication is one of those things you constantly have to work on, no matter how good of a communicator you think you are, because there's always aspects that will improve you. Now, let's take a quick step back. What does a lack of communication do?
It builds resentment.
It does.
It builds assumptions.
Yes.
You start assuming what people are trying to convey, the message that they're conveying. And usually, especially when you're in a heated moment or high emotion moment, you're going to put them in a category in context to how your position is
Of course. And how you're feeling at the
and
point.
how you're feeling. And usually that's a biased position.
Yes.
Because you're thinking anything that they say right now at that moment, especially when a heated argument, especially with your loved one or whatever, it's going to be in context to prove for them to prove you wrong and you to prove them wrong.
Now, don't get us wrong. We're not just speaking today about, your arguments with your spouses or your friends or your colleagues. We're speaking about every single day interaction with people, which is such an important part of society that a lot of people don't take seriously. Have you ever had people out there that just were not socially inept, right?
You know, I have the same issues all the time with my wife, with myself
Right?
and my wife. The biggest problem that we have is that she's great about it. She tells me that I don't communicate properly. And I think it's kind of true because I think way faster than I fucking talk. I sometimes think about certain things, and then when I'm trying to convey that message, I'm already thinking about the next thing. I don't know what that's called. I'm trying to Google that stuff, but I don't know if that's an issue mentally for me. But I have the same thing. I don't. I zoom through my thoughts, and it's almost like you're trying to cram so much shit through that little crack of door that things get missed. So I know that I have to kind of fix that. And so I realize that a lot of people have the same issue, that they're trying to say something, but they don't convey it to the person receiving it properly. And sometimes everything's out of context, right? Like you're trying to say something, but they have no context of what the hell you're actually saying.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems people have, like in general as a whole.
Yes.
And forgetting the fact that the information that it's in your head, what you're seeing right now, that other person is probably not in the same realm as you.
Yes.
So a lot of the anger and resentment that comes out of the communication stems from, wait, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I'm not even on the same vibe
Yeah,
as you.
same page. Yeah, being on the same page as the
Yeah.
other person. If they're
Yeah.
not even on the same, when we say the same page, like same train of thought,
Yeah,
You know,
100%,
and you
100%.
and you have to remember that people interpret things very differently. So how you and I even interpret, a simple picture or a scenery in front of us are two different things. You and I could be looking at two totally different things. So it's very important to, when you first start communicating, to get to know both sides.
What is the communication, right? When communication breaks down, if you really think about it, how often does it go south when you're thinking about something? You guys aren't even together in a room, right? For instance, whether it's you and a friend, you and your loved one, and you're like thinking all this shit that happened in the past. You're thinking all these things that are happening to you, and that person's in another room, not even knowing what's happening.
Yes.
And then you may cross paths, and they do something similar to that thing that you're thinking about, but they have no clue. And then you just snap, and then you're just like, "Oh, you always do this shit," and blah 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 blah
And
blah.
you've
blah.
already had it laid out.
And it's like the emotions already
They're
there.
like, what are you even talking
Yeah,
about?
right?
Like, what? I did. What do I always do?
You know what I'm talking about, man. I hate when you do that. you always
Yeah.
deflect.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's funny because it literally this weekend happened to me. So
You
I
know-
could really relate to that.
For people listening to this, there's a lot of people that think that ignorance is the best solution. Just know that that doesn't really get you anywhere. When you
Yeah,
ignore,
that does-
when you
definitely
ignore
doesn't.
matters. Listen, we all blow up at times. We've all had arguments or whatever, even with coworkers, even with your spouse. But you have to address it after. It takes one hell of a person to actually, number one, say the words "I'm sorry," and two, moving forward from it, looking back as to what was said and kind of, okay, what did I mean to say, and what were we trying to get at to begin with, right? Were we trying to get on, get a better clarity of each other? Are we trying to see each other's positions? You got to address that stuff, because ignoring it after, it just kind of sinks you into a hole deeper and deeper. It separates your friendships. It separates your.
So why would somebody care to improve their communication skills?
Man, everything in life is communication. How you get something. We always I always ask people, is everything in life sales, or is nothing in life sales? And when I say that, I don't mean I'm trying to sell you something technical, like literally. But I am, because I'm either trying to sell you on my ideals or my ideas when I'm speaking, or you're selling me on yours, right? When I'm in for a job interview, when somebody's in for a job interview, say if they're interviewing with myself, I'm selling them that, hey, this is a great company to work for, and they're selling me I'm a great person to work for this company, and here's all the reasons. You know what I mean?
Or if you're a client-based person who runs a business, for instance, and you're solopreneur, and you have clients that are slowly trying to get a little bit more out of you, that's out of the realm of your original agreement in your contract.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have come up to me and say, "How do you guys deal with that?" Your ability to communicate elegantly in a
Elegantly, yeah.
non-combative way to be like, "Hey, let's get back to the original agreement," or to talk to them in a way like, "Okay, I could do that, but it might cost a little bit more." And a lot of people have anxiety towards that because they don't want to feel combative, they don't want to ruffle feathers and stuff like that.
See-
and then it causes them stress and anxiety because, like, shoot, I like this client, but I don't want to lose him if I stand up for or communicate that this is what my position is.
See, this is why we've decided to call this particular episode "The Art of Communication," because communication really is an art. I see it almost like chess. So it's a tit for tat game. It's if you say something, I say something, you say something, I say something, right? Now, when you get to a situation such as, hey, you want to do this on Saturday night, your girl wants to do this on Saturday night. Now you're trying to sell each other on what to do. It's chess. It's chess to me, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're trying to always get something out of it, but it is chess. You're going back and forth regardless all the time. It's like ping pong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how you handle that ball or how you handle the next move can either make your evening or break your evening, right? It could be the deciding factor of whether you're going to sleep on the same bed and same room, or you're going to sleep on the couch, or it could be the deciding factor of you and your coworker walking off and completely that guy's an asshole, right? So communication is very, very important. I mean, number one thing, guys, mean what you say and say what you mean. Like, that is a huge thing. If you don't mean it, hold yourself back. Don't say it. And hey, we all have times when we do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, that's where you have to address it, and that's where you can't ignore it.
I think actually a very important thing, maybe just before that, a
Yeah.
precursor to that, is be in the right state before you communicate.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Don't
I think
communicate.
that's
Do not communicate. Try to communicate when you're angry. It's not going to work. When you're already flustered and say nervous about something, you're usually not going to get the right words out. And here's a big one, tonality. You're probably not going to sound very, very good.
That's
Your tone is going to
huge.
be probably a little bit more condescending, more demanding.
What do you mean by tonality for those who don't understand those terms?
Well, okay, so the tone of my voice, right? If I speak, so naturally, when a person has a lighter voice, a softer voice like this, it's a more calming manner. Now, if I was to raise my voice and to have my body language very up, which is what I often do, it's very intimidating.
Yep.
And it almost makes the other person kind of close off a bit.
Yep.
And if I start raising my voice, now you're thinking, okay, is this guy one, angry? Is he two, frustrated with me already? That closes off this person's door already.
Well, it's like saying, "Hey, Christian, can I talk to you?"
Yeah.
Or, "Hey, Christian, can I talk to you?"
Yeah, there's a huge difference.
I'm saying the same words, but it's two totally different things I'm saying
Huge.
to you, right?
Yeah, huge difference.
And people don't realize that that's very important. It's not what you say; it's how you say it a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. The tonality is an important thing.
I mean, if you actually want more people in your life and more good energy, you have to bring that out. I always tell people, like, you have to treat people like they're your best friends that you haven't seen in such a long time.
Yeah.
How would you treat them?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah.
Like, "Yo,
Yeah.
yo,
Hey,
hey,
yeah.
man, what's up? How you doing?
Yes.
How you been, man?"
Yes.
Like, you genuinely like give a shit. Like, not you're
Like,
not
you wanna see
you're
them.
not creeping on their Instagram. You're not you genuinely haven't seen this person in a while. You have no clue what the hell's going on in their life, and you're like, "Shit, dude, like, what's up? How you been?"
Yeah. You know, tonality on a separate note can also, like when you first start a conversation, if I say, "Hey, Carlo, how you doing?" That can either raise his interest or lose his interest immediately. So we say in the sales world, you have 5 seconds to gain somebody's interest.
Yep.
5 seconds. So upon immediate interaction, you got 5 seconds. So you've been taught in the past that, hey, chest up, right? Nice, good energy, and immediately it's like, "Hey, Carlo, how you doing?" It's Christian, right? And
Yeah.
with that type of tonality, because that will be more likely for him, more of interest. He'd more likely want to attach himself or be associated with somebody with a high energy like that, rather than something like, "Hey, Carlo, how you doing?" Right?
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you're a personal trainer, you're trying to help someone change their lives. You don't want to come at them with, "Hey, how's it going, sir?"
Yeah.
How you do-" Like, I'm not gonna sign up with this dude.
Yeah.
If he comes at me with like that, that's my energy. I need somebody around me who has higher energy so I could kind of emulate them and slowly become them.
And to be honest with you, like right off the hop with that, you either raise their interest or you lose their interest. And once you lose somebody's interest in 5 seconds, they're gone. And just to prove that, look how short Instagram posts are. And look how fast you scroll.
Commitment level is
Look how
off.
fast
It's
you
crazy.
scroll off
Yeah.
something that you're not interested in.
Yep.
Guess what you're doing every single day to the people around you? Or guess what people are doing to you?
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to get these things and kind of notice them about them yourself and to kind of work on them, right?
Well, that's part of being charismatic too. You draw people in through
Exactly.
your energy, right?
That's
Through
a
your
big one. Yeah,
tonality,
charisma, yes.
your body language, your actual energy. People feel energies no matter what you say. They don't even hear what the hell you're saying sometimes.
You know what? That's a big thing that you just said, and it goes hand in hand with your tonality. Your body language says it all.
That's another.
It shows you whether you want to be in the room or whether you're interested at all or not.
Yep. You see it all the time. Pay attention to, say, if you're in the next meeting with your
Hey, listen, we have a team meeting every Monday and Wednesday. I can see when the guys are tuning out.
Yeah.
And at what point?
Yeah.
When the body language starts to go like this and like that, hey, you call them out on it. Mm-hmm. Right? So, I mean, for you, saying this now, when you're walking into a room, when you're walking to, very important, if you're walking into any sort of business meeting or a job interview, or you're meeting your boss or something like that, how you carry yourself will say a lot about you, where you are mentally as well.
Yo, okay, here's the thing, kid. I never told anybody this, but I studied like pickup stuff, right? Like picking up
There's
women,
a book
pickup
on that.
artists.
What's it called again?
There's a
I forgot.
There's,
There's quite a lot of them. Yeah.
The game. There's called
Game,
the game
yeah, that's
from
it, yeah.
Neil Strauss. So who Neil Strauss learned it from is this guy named Mystery, and they had this thing called Mystery Method back in the day before all this, like internet, when we had dial up and stuff like that, Asian Avenue days. I was studying this stuff, and I didn't study it because I didn't know how to get girls. I was always okay with that my entire life. But I only did it because you know that anxiety everybody felt when they're gonna talk to a girl, especially guys, even females to males, females to females, anybody that you're interested in, you have that anxiety. I always felt that, even though I knew that the girl would probably talk to me, right? So I was like, you know what? I don't like that feeling. I hate that anxiety feeling. There has to be a way. And I thought, I was like, okay, the worst situation you could ever be in for me at that time as a young male was trying to pick up a girl, because that's like, you know,
Yeah.
high stakes at that point back in the day.
Yeah.
And this was before Instagram. This was before
Facebook or any of
BB
that,
too,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's it called, Blackberries.
Blackberries, yeah.
Before that, like you had to talk to them and
Yeah.
get the number.
Yeah. And you actually called their home line.
No, yeah, call
Yeah.
yeah. Or at that point, there's some text.
Cell phone
Yeah,
and
back in the
whatever, yeah.
Nokia's. Yeah,
Yeah.
that back in the day. So I learned pickup, and this is how I learned sales so fast, because pretty much the same principles
exact same thing.
applies to sales. The very interesting part that I actually learned was, okay, when you go into a bar, okay, or into a room or into a social setting, what usually happens? You do the dumb move. You kind of walk around. You look around the room. You kind of identify which girls that you like or the mate that you like, and you go to a bar and you order a drink and you post up. Right? That right there, subconsciously, the whole room already identifies your position within the social circle. So what you do, the best thing to do is now two things. A, you could either go with a group of girls and, you know, have that social dynamics where you're open and charismatic and your body language isn't posting up and stuff like that. But the second one is to immediately go to a group of females and start a conversation, open up, act like you don't care, because the one that you actually want is in the left corner. So you go to the right corner and actually talk to them, displaying that you don't even give a shit, which is very interesting. So body language right there. Your
Yeah,
positioning
huge.
matters. Now that person's interested, because all the guys
the
in
confidence.
all the guys in that room now are looking at her, and she's like, "Why the hell is that guy not talking to me?"
Yep. Yeah, and he's talking to everybody else. Every
Yeah.
other woman in this room.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's why communication. And dude, when I used to do that, that was not. It actually really worked. Obviously, you don't want to be a douchebag, and because the problem with the whole pickup thing is that people picked up on it, and then they started acting weird in clubs and stuff like that. That's why I got away with that. That was weird shit. But that I found that very interesting, and you know, I still use it and think about it today in our settings and stuff like that. Because you don't just use it necessarily to pick up girls.
No. It's so many things that you can do.
You know what I
with
mean?
this.
Like if
it's every
there's,
day.
there's a person that you want to talk to about business, you don't go up to them like, hey, you want to
Yeah.
display value. You want to kind of, you know, relax. If everybody's trying to talk to that person, you kind of position yourself in a different way. So same thing, you're communicating a higher set of values than everybody else, and right there, you're immediately put to the top of like the social setting.
Yes.
So when I found that out, yeah, the body language and positioning is a huge factor, because right away people subconsciously judge you based on that.
You know, just to play off what you just said there about being of value, you know, when you are communicating, think context along with content. So just like in anything else you put out in your social media these days, that's how a lot of people communicate. Usually we like to do that by mouth too. So some people actually talk to each other still. And, you know, think context along with content. Think what kind of value you could be of to that person, or what kind of value are you giving to them when you're actually communicating to them. So that's an important thing, right? So like, you know, going up to a circle of women like that, what do you open the conversation up with is just as important.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Number one, you already look like a rock star because you're confident enough to walk up to a group of women to just speak openly.
Yeah.
Not to be a douchebag, not to be arrogant, but just, you know, confidently. So you already have one up. Now what comes out of your mouth next can determine of whether people are going to be like, wow, you're a moron. Or two, it's like, wow, this guy's very interesting. Yeah.
You know, there's the one that is called the neg. So you kind of say, oh, hey, that's an awesome purse. My grandma had the same one. Where'd you get that one?
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like you're
relating.
You're relating.
You're
to her,
relating.
but you're saying that you have the same style as an older lady, but you knowing you have to say it in a charismatic way that people don't want to punch you in the fucking face.
Yes.
Which is a very tricky thing to do, and some people just come off as assholic.
Yes.
Right. So that goes back into charismatic tonality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a little smirk in your face, and then you switch it up real quick and give them an actual real compliment, stuff like that. So in terms of context and how you say things in the opener, it matters, man. It matters a lot. Instead of saying, hey, can I buy you a drink?
So that's I mean,
Like,
that's
that's the which is a right there. Once you go, hey, can I buy you a drink? It's like you're done.
yeah, because you're in a position of asking already.
Like, how many guys have done that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that person like throughout the night?
Yep, definitely.
So you're originally right now. It's like, oh, cool. I identify you as this type of
Yeah,
person
you're the
who just wants to
rest
sleep,
of those.
who just wants to sleep with me.
You're the rest of that.
That's it. You
Yeah.
have no
Credibility.
Body.
Yeah,
You're
you have
done.
no credibility anymore.
Yeah,
You're
but
done.
imagine you kind of make fun of her, blah 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 blah, and then you walk away. You go,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
It's like, what the hell? This guy doesn't even want to talk to me after that. He just has a conversation with me, and all these other people are talking to him. Shit, now that guy's piquing my interest
Of course.
because he's not acting like
No,
everybody else.
exactly.
Right?
For sure. Like they will identify the one that is obviously that stands out from the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually the person that is confident, usually one who is a great communicator, right?
It talks to everybody
Talks
in the
to
room.
every
Talks.
single-
Yeah.
and
Everybody
he
talks
can-
to them.
He or she can find a relation towards everybody. Nice shoes. I got those too in the size 10.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Every little thing. What are you drinking? I actually like that on the rocks instead of neat myself, you know?
But what comes down to it is like you're actually genuinely interested.
Yeah, you are.
In the interaction, the value of the interaction, rather than you trying to get something out of the interaction.
Yep.
And I think that's what separates everybody from the great communicators and non-great communicators, because it's not just about the communicator; it's about the how we could both value and get value from this interaction.
Well, a big point that we wanted to make is that the best communicators are actually great listeners first.
Absolutely.
So to become a better communicator, shut your mouth and listen. It's very hard for a person like me, but I've had to learn to do it because you get so much more. You get to learn, about people and their position, how they think. Furthermore, and to me, that's important because then you start to get an understanding of the world around you, and that, hey, let's face it, we're all pretty self-centered at some point in time, but it kind of wakes you up into, so not everybody thinks like me. Right? They think in a different way. They see, they see the world in their eyes and in their lenses.
Yep.
And that's, I think, is a great part of in becoming a better communicator. I think number one thing you should do is become a better listener.
Yes. In improv, because I used to be on the improv team in Jean Vanier.
Oh, those things are awesome.
Yeah, man. So it's that game where, you don't. It's called blocking. You don't want to
Yes.
block that the idea.
Yes.
You want to add on
Yeah,
to it.
add on to it. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You don't want to say, "Oh, Billy had a cat," and then you're up next. Like, no, it wasn't a cat. It was a dog.
Yeah.
Like, nah, dude.
Billy had a cat
right.
who was black who jumped on me and
Right, yeah,
scratched my head. Yeah.
Right. So stuff like that. You don't want to block that
Yes.
idea. You want to add on to it and progress it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with communication. That's why it's always great for people to actually start maybe even getting into an improv class.
You want to know what's funny? I was not. I mean, not that I was shy, but I mean, my initial touch of development of communication was drama class, grade 9.
Huge.
That's when
Huge
I
impact.
became totally aware. I remember I was walking around the first part of grade 9, just a couple, because I was like literally the only one there that nobody knew, right? Everybody else went to Scarborough School. I came from East York or whatever it is, or downtown Toronto. So naturally, I just be like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. Like, I didn't really say much. I got into drama class, and it's like, oh, that's how you break the ice.
Yeah.
And that's how you not make it awkward. There's a lot of people that try to break the ice, and it's fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like two dudes, like, hey man,
Yeah.
okay, like what next, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
socially awkward almost. But drama class really woke me up to that. For anybody that wants to learn how to communicate better, even doing a stint of drama or improv is freaking amazing for
Huge,
you.
man. And a part of it is confidence. I think the biggest part of, especially in drama class, it breaks you out of that shell.
It's confidence.
And it's like owning your shit. Our entire lives, we've been conditioned to play small and to apologize and
quiet,
to
please.
shave.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
No,
Yeah.
speak when you're only spoken
Yeah.
to.
Whether or not you're pushing your ideals on someone when you're speaking them. You're not pushing it like in the sense of, hey, you got to believe in what I believe in, but I'm opening up your world to mine.
Well, that
right?
goes on to your next point. Know your audience.
Yes, that's a huge one, right? Obviously, you wouldn't talk about babies or kids to a fucking bachelor or a bachelorette.
Which happened to me this weekend, by the
You
way.
know what I'm
Well, I'm not a
saying?
bachelor, but because I don't have a kid.
Yeah,
You know how many times? Because
yeah,
I go to kids' functions.
yeah,
You know how
yeah,
many
yeah.
conversations I always have with people like, "Oh, when's your next? When's your kid coming out? And when's your turn? You're getting old."
Yeah.
Like wrong conversation,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I'm a dog parent.
Yeah, know your audience, man. Know your audience is a
We could talk about
massive.
dogs all day.
Know your audience is a massive.
Although I love
thing.
kids, by the way, I love kids.
Well, you know, which goes hand in hand with think before you speak.
Yeah. Feel the person out before you make a
Think
comment.
before you speak.
What if I can't physically have kids?
And honestly, sometimes like a silence, a small bit of silence is better than you awkwardly backtracking, or there's something in Ocean's 11. They said speak 5 words instead of 10. That's a smart man, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can get your points across in 5, where in 10 words you might just be, 1, giving up more vulnerability in your position. 2, you sound like you're backtracking, or you sound like you have to defend your position. So you don't sound very confident at all, right? So I mean, think before you speak, please. And usually that is done with a clear head. So going into a room or whatever angry is probably never a great thing.
Checking out your state, right?
And here's the thing too. If you're angry about something, if you're frustrated about something, there is a way that you can use that to win your position or to get your point across, but you don't necessarily have to communicate it like an asshole either. Very true, right?
Yeah.
So remember that you can use that frustration, that anger, that whatever that you have inside of you, whether it be because of a certain case or, somebody left the heater on all night long and now your mats are all bubbled up and true story, right? Now but you can use that in a certain way that, okay, how can we communicate that this does not happen again?
Yeah.
Something like that, right? It's really in a true sense of word, like, man, go into it when you're with a clear head. Like, get some time to actually think about it first. Because how many times will you, let's just say if, I don't know, your significant other already had a rough day at work, they got yelled at by their boss, the commute took like, half an hour too long, whatever it may be, and the way they come across hey, what's for dinner, or where's dinner?
Yeah.
Are you gonna take that very well? You're like, well, I just got home too, but you know what I mean, like, right? Like those
Depending
things.
on my day, I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, like it's very, very true, because a lot of times people will pass off whatever just happened to them.
All the time.
All the
your
time.
significant other's the punching bag to your day.
Yeah, and you know what? All day long you get shit on by your boss. You got fucking
Clients.
You got assholes that cut you off in traffic before you even get here. You know what I mean? People who just and then your clientele, and then whoever it is, right? Your friends. So remember, you're gonna carry that with you, and a lot of times you're taking that into the next conversation. So it's very easy that you already have a flame going. So just to throw a little lighter fluid on that with a wrong condescending tone by the next person can just set you off.
Yep.
So have some time to think. Which actually, I'd like to bring another point is clear your head every so often, and I'm talking about within the day.
I think so too. It's that perspective, right? Remember that place of perspective, or that thought of perspective, something that always brings you back to like, oh shit, okay, yeah, okay, life isn't that bad, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to resolve right now? What are you trying to communicate?
Yep.
And does it need to come out in a very high decibel tone?
Or a great thing that I do before I communicate high stuff that matters. I sleep first. I don't.
Oh yes.
I just I get into a mode of, okay, let me sleep this off. Let's see, maybe even take a couple days that I don't see an angle that might that I might be missing.
I forgot there's a high level CEO book. There's so many of them, but he literally says, I sleep. I sleep when I'm frustrated. I sleep when I'm mad. I'll sleep for like 20 minutes, a half an hour, and I won't be as angry or whatever. I'll be a little bit more clear when I wake up.
Or go have sex.
Yeah, that works.
Done.
Aggression done.
Aggression. Yo, like if you're able to find your, like, get with it, man. After that, you can be like, oh shit, okay.
All right.
All
Here's
right. All right.
perspective. Yeah.
Maybe I was just things weren't that bad. Yo, straight up, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Straight up, or go work out. Go do
Yeah.
something.
Physical.
If you think if you're that emotional about something, don't do it yet. Don't pull the trigger. Do something physical that kind of releases you in a positive way, and then reassess.
Yes.
Because honestly, the moment that you pull off like that in high anger mode, you're gonna regret that eventually. Because what happens after anger? It's resentment, and then you start feeling bad about shit.
Here's a big one that applies to this day and age. Try not to communicate through text, especially when you're trying to get a point across to someone.
Yo, dude, text, emails,
I've
all that
lost
shit.
friends.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Had fallen out relationships with clientele.
Yeah.
Had fallen relationships through that.
Yeah, I don't do that, man.
I've learned not to do that because once you say one too many things, I'd rather just say, "Hey, can we just speak in person?"
Yeah, speak in person. You may even call. I
Call.
don't know,
Just
especially
call.
Like, yo, what's up, man? Let's talk about this.
Yeah, a
'Cause
call
this
is always
stupid.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Because-
plus, at the end of the day, I don't want them to freaking remember that I said certain things through text because that's forever in their phone. So I'd
Yeah.
rather have a conversation with you, and because tonality and everything, we could actually hash it out. You can feel the energy.
You know what? In a text, it can be left for misinterpretation so many ways.
Yeah.
How you say it, what you meant to say by it, and this other person has like 500 things in their head about, oh man, okay, so what was he trying to say about this? And now it becomes a very defensive thing, right? So, you know what I mean?
Dude, you know how many times I sat beside people, literally, and they're like, "Oh, this fucking person, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Let me read that." And I'm like, "I don't see anything that bad here. I don't that you're
Right.
you're popping off on right
Right.
now." I'm like, "Oh, look what they're saying." I'm like, "Yeah, I see that, but I could see why you're saying that. But do you understand that they might be seeing it from my perspective? They might be saying it in my kind of
Yeah.
my stance from my stance. They're just saying something, and because you're so angry, you're really taking this out of context right now, and you're ready to pop off on this person because you're focusing on these three words that they put together.
And the thing is too, like when you're the one that's in that position, right? Oftentimes, again, like you've already had a whole bunch of shit that's happened to you, just even within those last couple moments.
Yeah.
So you're already thinking about something, or there's something already going on with your day or with your life that you're already frustrated about, and this is just the icing on the cake. And
Although, on top of that, you have to learn how to elegantly text people or communicate through that too.
Yes.
To kind of de-escalate a situation and get it back to homeostasis type of stuff. So you could actually have a conversation to resolve the issue. I find a lot of people don't know how to do that, especially with text or especially with email. I've seen it so many times that things pop off and then things go south and communication just dismantles after that. I can't even talk to you face to face after that. People,
Yes.
and then it's just awkward as hell when you see them in person. It's like shit. We left off in a bad state, communicating digitally, that in person now we're just awkward. And what kind of relationships do you actually want to have? That's stupid. I'll rather end the relationship face to face and be like, yo, this is done, man. Like you totally disrespected me. I've done so much for you, and you're gonna come at me like this. Then I don't think it's good for both of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I could live with that now. Like, how many times have you thought about it? It's like shit. That I think I got my way on that one. Like I proved my point. But if you actually prove your point, you wouldn't second guess it,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
So I think, just put the stamp on it. Just say it to my face. That's, what Birdman said. I don't talk about, or what's his name? Jay-Z's ex-partner, Damon Dash. He's
Damon
like, yo, I
Dash.
don't talk about no other men behind his back or with him not being here, because that's just gossip. That's a weak trait. That's gossip. We have something to say, let's say it in front of each other. You know what I mean? And I stand by that. I stand by that 100%. Have the courage to talk in front, and that's the next. Have the courage to convey your message.
Yes.
Have that courage.
Yeah.
Because
Don't do it through text. Don't do it through.
But the thing is, people hold back, and
It's
you don't
true.
have to be an asshole about it. But have conviction, because people can respect that.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if you're a good person, you mean well for everybody. Just because something isn't 100% doesn't mean that you're now considered a fucking asshole. You could just, dude, I don't like when you do that.
And you
Can
have
you
to
not
have
do that?
And you have to have conviction.
Conviction, like, listen,
sure.
I love everything
I
about
believe in
you.
this, yeah.
Everything was great, but this part really annoys me. Is it possible that we could find a better way to communicate or be around each other? Because if we can't, then we're gonna have to either A, minimize the amount of time we spend with each other, or we B, never spend time with each other again.
You know, which is a big thing for the next point is mind your manners, right?
Yeah,
Mind your manners when you're anywhere, actually. Please and thank yous go a long way, but not interrupting and actually listening to their point of view.
Yeah.
Because that will raise or elevate a conversation into an argument really, really fast. That can escalate really fast if you start interrupting the other person. They're trying to, get their point across, and you all of a sudden start to butt in with your ideals and your defense and whatever. That's how it escalates really fast. So mind your manners, guys. It
Or
really
you
does.
assume what they're gonna say next, and you assume where they're going with it.
Yes.
That's annoying.
Yeah. Assumption is never good.
Yeah.
What do they say? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
It's true, man. Big point to hold for yourself. If you're trying to communicate, and when we say in any which way, if you're trying to convey a message, or if you're trying to find a message conveyed to you, very important that you take a conversation with open-ended type of questions and not closed-ended ones, right? If you actually want to see the standpoint of somebody else, get to know what their standpoint is, and having closed-ended questions or closed-ended conversation is probably not going to do that. So have open-ended, kind of get to see where their position is or their standpoint is, right? That's a huge one. That's in anything, right? Whether if you have a business partner, or if you're trying to close a deal with somebody, recently we just closed some real estate deals and whatever. So we had to do that too. Yeah, it's all
communication
perfect.
Yeah,
That
but that's some
communication
serious
was
communication. That shit's like lawyer type.
We've been under a lot of communicating back and forth through real estate in the last little while, and that is a place where if you show your emotion, you are weak.
But that high level shit, and you have to be clear. You have to be clear
If
on
you
what
are not,
if you use the wrong word,
if you are not convinced about what you're saying, if you don't have conviction, if you show emotion towards something that they may have suggested and you didn't like, you're weak. You're losing that business deal.
You're gonna lose that positioning
For sure, you're gonna lose that position.
100%.
Forever, they'll get whatever they want out of you, right?
Especially when it's like that, when somebody has a thing that you want.
Well, think about this way, right? Think about, let's just say, okay, so the hot girl that's walking around with a guy that she just kind of bosses around. The relationship started there to begin with because he gave up his positioning. So that's never going to change because that's their forever position.
Yeah.
When he was weak and kind of begging for her attention, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I know what I'm going to make out of you. You're basically going to hold my bag, drive me around."
Yeah.
That's where that started.
Or vice versa, man. I've seen
Well,
girls
vice
do
versa.
that to guys. I'm like,
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's
the girls
vice-
do. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying.
In a
So
relationship, you let that happen.
that position started a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's because you showed that weakness. I'm not saying to be an asshole and be like never hold open the door for a woman, but you know what I mean. If somebody just kind of takes advantage of you like that, you let that happen because you started their relationship that way.
That's very important. Like
It's pure position.
It's but whatever relationship that you end up in, whether it's friendship, business partners, whatever, that positioning, the initial part of it, the
forever stand ground.
the lease agreement part of it. You're married after that. Yeah. These are the rules that we both agree upon.
These are our terms of engagement.
Yeah. So, and it's very hard to now get both parties to change that 5 years in, 2 years in, and 3 years in, because both people might be in a different place. But we agreed, the first time we met that we're going to treat each other this way.
Yeah.
And as we grow, we'll try to cultivate that agreement. So it's very hard now for you that you decide that you want to change this, and this, that now everybody around you has to say okay and check off on it, because initially who you were wasn't that.
No, exactly.
So now you have to come up and communicate a different way. And to communicate, guys, this is how my new life is like. This is my new perspective of life. Can we both agree that we could live harmoniously with this new set of circumstances?
Here's a tip that I got from a book that I've recently finished. It's called Never Split the Difference. So if there's anybody listening to this, get on that book. It's great for communication. It's great for sales. It's great for any sort of kind of back-to-back conversation, right?
That's the one with is it the negotiation?
That's a negotiation.
The hostage negotiation.
Yeah.
Guy.
So this guy is basically, he was a hostage negotiator for the FBI with terrorists and counter-terrorists and stuff like that for years. And you know what? How he learned to communicate was, so he had no formal training, never went to school. He decided, hey, I want to work at the FBI as a negotiator. They're like, go
Wait, you
F
could
your,
do that?
no, because they said, go F yourself.
Like Catch Me If You Can? Like that
That's
type of
exactly
shit?
what they
Like,
go.
I'm going to be a pilot.
So, they go. So what type of what type of background do you have? Education, experience? None, zero, none, no schooling. And he goes, but I'm a great communicator. They're like, okay. They go, well, fall in line. There's a ton of people that's already in line for this position. And the lady goes to him, by the way, if you really wanted to work as a negotiator for the FBI, you know what I did? She's like, go volunteer at the suicide hotline. She goes, because there you can't afford to not win your negotiation. Because if you lose that negotiation, this person's killing themselves. So this guy actually did an internship for 2 years or so, or something like that, at the suicide negotiation hotline. He got his job shortly after. She goes, wow, I didn't actually think you were going to do that. She goes, that's what I took to get here. And she was like a very high up director of the FBI. She goes, that's what I did to get here. She goes, I didn't actually think you actually would do that.
So when you do that, do they keep track of how many lives you saved?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
That's nuts, man.
But that is a great...
Oh, I can't even, like, I forgot it. Like, that's a job. That's a crazy... Do you get paid for that?
I'm not sure, man.
Man, whoever...
Oh, no, it's volunteer.
You should get... Why would you... Dude, those...
But that's what she said.
You should get paid for that shit.
She goes and she's like, go volunteer at this hotline if you really want to be a negotiator.
Dude,
and a good one at it.
If you're great at that job, why would you not pay that person, man? That person's saving lives.
I know. It's great. Like, that's
the type of shit where you, like... that's high value shit.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how this world doesn't reward people who actually save lives?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. And
wow.
In that book, they say something that when you're communicating with somebody, the answer that essentially you're looking for, you do want agreeance, but not agreeance as in you're right, because that means that they still feel a kind of a way about it. You obviously don't want them saying, I'm right.
Yeah.
But the term in agreeance is you're looking for that's right.
Ah.
Yeah,
So like that this is the right thing to do in this situation.
So meaning if you're trying to come to a position, if you're trying to agree with me on something, and once I say that's right, that means I'm actually in agreement with you.
Okay.
So look for that in people, right? As opposed to if they say, oh, you're right, meaning yes, you're right, but I'm not completely agreeing with you. So just to stroke you or just to get you off my back, I'll just say, yeah, you're right. Or if you want me walking off, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm still right. Like, right? There's other people. So anyway, we put this on today because we feel like this is a great thing to kind of develop and grow in your everyday life. And I think you cannot completely grow as a person without growing that part of you. You know, a lot of people spend a lot of time in the gym. They spend a lot of time even doing like to develop their mind, you know, reading, writing, doing those brain teasers and stuff. I think everybody in this world can use development and communication. Just because your relationships will go so much further, and the type of person you are just becomes so much better overall. A lot of people just want to be around you other than not, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for everybody listening out there today, thank you very much for listening to us. I'm Christian Alvarez.
And I'm Carlo Belgase. Hopefully this could help you with your communication. And hopefully it'll add more value into your life. And your life is going to be more happy because of it, because you're able to communicate better. And you'll be able to help other people communicate better as well. And there's nothing wrong with that.
This is Behind the Strength, where we help you build your health, wealth, and peace of mind. And if you want to get at us,
you could email us at bts@strengthnu.com. That's Bobby Terry Sandy at strengthnu.com. Not the Korean boy band BTS. But maybe we should use that hashtag so you get more views. That'd be crazy. Wow. Or hit us up at strengthnu, STRENGTHNU on Instagram.
We're open for suggestions on topics you want us to cover: fitness, business, lifestyle related, nutrition related. Look for us. We will be coming up with more.
Yeah, and thank you for those who have gave us suggestions. We're going to take that in, and we're going to do some podcasts based on that. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Later, guys.